Hello, everyone. This is Chala Dincoy, CEO and founder of The Repositioning Expert. Welcome to another edition of my podcast, Naked Marketing, with my guest, Marc Daniels. We are talking about marketing mistakes. Welcome, Marc.
Thank you, Chala.
So, Marc, tell us about what you do and who you help.
Well, I've been in business for over 40 years. And about 8 years ago, I started to work and do some consulting work for a company called Results BI. And basically, what they do is provide a piece of software, or what we do now is provide a piece of software that allows you to put together a strategic plan, but more importantly, execute that plan. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Studies year after year will come out that 85% of companies that put together a plan fail to execute the plan. So
Mm-hmm.
our focus is really on executing your strategic plan, executing your strategy.
So, is this your baby? Like, did you come up with this?
It's become my baby. Yes, I took over as CEO 3 or 4 years back, and I've modified the platform greatly to embellish some of the things I learned over my 40 years. It was a very well thought through, pretty comprehensive platform, but I've taken it, I believe, to the next level and really made it something special,
So, are you
something uniquely different from some of the other companies.
okay?
When I joined it, it was a company that would help you put together a strategic plan, and
Mm-hmm.
there's at least five other major competitors in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of the things I learned many years ago, but I relearned again with this, is you don't want to be a Me Too product.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really have something that stands out. So I've been very focused on not just helping you put together a plan, but actually helping you execute the plan.
So can you give us a success story of an example or somebody that was like a Phoenix Rising story that you saved from hell?
Oh, sure. So
Uh,
many of them. Trying to think. Oh,
and I'm like throwing
I'm
this
always
at
cautious about talking about companies that they'd be okay with me talking about them. But
yeah, no need for
one that
names.
comes to mind is
Yeah.
a hotel in Ireland,
Uh-huh.
um, and they were very successful, and COVID hit them, and
Mhm.
we have a tool called integrated meeting, which allows you to meet. And when he closed down the hotel, he was able to continue meeting with his staff using our platform,
Mhm.
and put together a new strategy that they then rolled out, and changed their hotel from a hotel that was very focused on tourists coming from outside of Ireland, which still
Mhm.
is just starting to open up in the next few
Yeah,
weeks,
yeah.
um, and was able to attract tourists from within Ireland to
Mm,
come to his hotel, and that
that's
was his plan. And he did that in our tool, and was able to basically survive a very, tough time. That's a recent success story.
yeah.
That's by the way, that's Pembroke Hotel in
Mm,
Ireland, in
mhm.
Kilkenny. And if you ever go to Ireland, that's the hotel you want to go to. It's right by the
Oh,
Pembroke
nice.
Castle.
Oh,
Uh,
that sounds beautiful.
uh, a fleet of fishing boats in Jamaica, a construction company in the U.S. I mean, we have success stories. We have over 2,000 um, companies around the world using our platform. The Our largest concentration of clients are in Australia, ironically. We're headquartered in New Zealand.
Mm,
Um, in fact, I was in New Zealand when the pandemic started.
mm.
Um, so so we have customers in right now 16 different countries.
Great. So this, being a marketing girl, I'm so interested. How do you market to get your clients?
Most recently, I've been using a product that you may be familiar with, called ClickFunnels, and
Mm-hmm.
I basically bring people through a 5-day challenge or a 5-day master class,
Mm-hmm.
or I've called it or a 4-week fast track, where every Friday they meet with me. Call it Fast Track Friday. So I've named it three different things, but effectively, it's a challenge where they spend an hour or two with me every day. They get a little bit of homework, and at the end of the week, they have a plan.
Mhm.
And then over the next year, I do a group class, much like you have this group class on Facebook,
Mhm.
where every Thursday, I do strategy execution Thursdays. And I spend just a half hour showing them how there's something in our platform that will help you actually execute the plan you put together.
Very nice.
The
And so who
planning's, I'm sorry, go ahead. You
oh,
go ahead.
oh no, I was just curious, who is your target that you're, putting the lead magnets towards?
Small to medium companies. Um, we've really have been trying to focus in on an industry specific, but it runs a full gamut. It's really bizarre. Every time I think I've narrowed in on an industry, I get somebody from another industry. So it really is small to medium businesses,
Mm,
size anywhere from five employees to 50 employees. I would say is our sweet spot. Our average right now is our average number of seats per client is about 17, but the average number of employees per company is in the 30s.
mhm.
Um, and in English speaking countries, in the six major English speaking countries, um, that's worked quite well for us because in the US, 85% of all companies have a fiscal year end that ends in December.
Mhm.
So we all do our planning starting in October, November, December for
Mhm.
January.
Mhm.
In New Zealand, their fiscal years all start by law on April 1.
Oh, oh my God.
And in Australia, they all start July 1. Because who wants to do a strategic plan around the holiday time when it's summertime? So they love to do their planning in the winter time. So I just brought over 200 new companies through our platform over the last 5 weeks. I did 3 sessions in June and 1 session in July, and brought over 200 new companies onto our platform.
Congratulations. That sounds like a lot.
It is, and it's really exhilarating and fun for me because um, I have my class sizes range anywhere from 15 companies to as high as 70 companies.
Nice.
And I'm sort of giving you my secrets, but I get to knock off 70 companies or 25 companies in 1 week. And if I can get them engaged in the platform, we have a very good retention rate. So,
That's great. Well, I am absolutely not only listening to your secrets, but I'm writing them down and we're sharing them. That's why we have a podcast, so we can get amazing people like you to share their secrets. Now, it sounds like you've got your marketing figured out, but I know because you're on this show that it wasn't always so easy. So tell us about your big marketing mistake.
oh, well, my first big marketing mistake would have to come. I mean, I've made lots of them, Shayla. The one that turned into, I guess, the one that turned into my biggest success was in 2003. We started a company called Diligent Board Member Services, and I was one of the 7 founders. And Diligent put together electronic board packages for the board of directors. And the CEO and all the founders, we were really focused on signing Fortune 500 companies. And we went public. We listed on the New Zealand Stock Exchange in 2006. And in 2008 and 2009, we had that financial crisis in the US.
Yep.
And every big Fortune 500 company was saying, love your product, but we're going to wait. We're going to wait. We're going to wait.
Mm.
And that's all I was hearing. I had to lay off half of the sales staff.
Wow.
Um, and then I pulled together the team and we locked ourselves in a room on a Friday and we came back on Saturday and figured out that we really did not want to focus on Fortune 500 companies. Who was buying our product? Banks,
Mhm.
because the banks were being audited by the Bush and then the Obama administration because they had caused the financial crisis.
Right.
In the banks, they used to go into a board meeting, and if we have any bankers on this, I don't mean to insult you, but the banks used to do a board meeting. They would go play golf, have a few drinks, and the board meeting would be over. Right? All of a sudden, now they really had to meet, and they had to dig deep into finding what their portfolio and the loans, and they were being audited by every branch of the government. So um, needless to say, I switched our target market. The target market is so key, as you know, Chala. If you get your target market right, you really can grow properly. Because if you're just spraying marketing dollars all over the place, so we just got so focused on the banks. I did every banking the show there was, from the Virgin Islands to Guam. I signed banks. I was on the road for 3 years. Now, ironically, every banking board member sits on another board. So eventually, after I signed SunTrust, I signed Rubbermaid in Atlanta. SunTrust is based in Atlanta. After I signed a bunch of boards in Texas, I got to go in and meet Rex Tillerson, and I signed ExxonMobil. Um, yeah, so the banks all led to the success, and we were able to sell Diligent to private equity for $941 million.
Well done.
So the mistake is simple. We didn't have the target market right. We were trying to be everything to everybody.
Oh my
And when
God.
we narrowed it down to the banks, which was sort of the financial crisis was a blessing in disguise, because it got us to narrow in on an industry that really needed us.
Well, Marc,
So,
folks, I just want to say I'm a niching coach, and Marc is not a plant. This has not been rehearsed. He is coming up with this stuff completely on his own. And so wrong targeting is the number one reason why companies fail. And it takes them so long to figure it out, throwing spaghetti at the wall. And I learned 18 years, Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay, launching new products. I had to learn how to do targeting. So I now teach that. So thank you, Marc, for preaching to the converted in my case, but making my case that especially niche targeting like an industry is the number one way to grow fast. So I'm more than happy to give you some ideas when we finish this about how you can do that for you, because you were saying the niching is not,
I'm
you have
really
to
struggling with it once again, because the second I figure out a niche, I seem to get 3 customers from another niche,
and that's okay. That's fine. Niching doesn't mean you ignore people who want your help. It doesn't mean you stop selling to anybody else. It just gives direction to your marketing in a way that allows you, like what you did with the banks, to penetrate very quickly, which allows you to grow really fast, which is how I, teach. And the beauty of what I done is it takes now 2 to 4 weeks to figure that out, that niche in the industry. So we will definitely talk, my friend. But thank you for making my case. I did not pay him, everyone. He's not a plant. So that is amazing. Now, Marc, how did you get into this world of, selling software? Is that your background?
Well, in 1978, 79, I was in college, and I started to do an internship for a Radio Shack dealer.
Mhm.
And he was going out of business. I was fresh out of college, a graduate, and I was doing his bookkeeping for him. And I said, "Joe, you're out of business in 8 months." And he said, "You stupid kid, like, what you're talking about." And I said, "Well, I'll redo all the numbers, and I'll come back to you on Monday." Went back to him on Monday, said, "Joe, you're right. I was wrong. You're out of business in 6 months."
Oh my God.
Not 8, 6. Well, the next week we were at a Radio Shack convention with him, and Radio Shack had just announced the Radio Shack Model 1 computer. They were competing against the Apple One, 2 geeks that were selling this computer out of a garage in California. And then the Heath Kit, which was another computer, but everybody was buying these Radio Shack Model 1s. And everybody was complaining about a company in Texas that was mail ordering them.
What was
So
it?
I started the country's first computer mail order company, Computer Discount of America,
Oh
in
my
1979. And we grew that to be about an $80 million a year business till I sold it off in 1991.
God. Well, I mean, good,
So,
good going for not being, still having your hand in the game.
yeah. So
And
that's how I started. And, I was really blessed. I stood on the same trade show floor with
Mhm.
Wozniak and Jobs,
Oh my.
went to parties. I met Bill Gates Sr., not Bill Gates Jr.,
Oh my.
Sr. at a party. He was telling me how proud he was of his son who had just started this company called Microsoft. Yeah. So
You
I'm really, I've been doing this since 1978, 79, really. So
know.
that's how I got into computers, and really have pretty much stayed in that general
Mhm.
industry in some way, shape, or form.
Well, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Now, what is one parting advice that you have for our listeners and our viewers around marketing?
When somebody does this plan for you, or when you get done with your plan, most important thing is you then have to share it with your team,
Mhm.
and you have to work it every single week. One meeting every single week to drive the execution of your plan. People go off, they do these big retreats,
Mhm.
3 days in a retreat, and they have a plan, and they come back and that plan sits on their desk.
And then crickets, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The plan feels like it's the hard part because you've invested so much time and money in getting your team together. The planning is the easy part, the execution is the hard part.
Yeah.
So put your plan together, but make sure once a week you work the plan. Work that plan.
That's
Sort of
excellent.
like getting into the cockpit of an airplane. If a pilot is off course from the moment that plane takes off, and your business is the same, you have a plan, you have filed your flight plan, and the moment you take off, headwinds, air traffic, um, storms up ahead, and you have to make these corrections. You have to have that weekly meeting, and you as a CEO or owner of a business has to have to talk to your employees every week and say, wow, this is stalled, how can I help you? What can we do to remove this roadblock? How
Mhm.
can we get this back on track?
Mhm. I love it. That is great
So,
advice. Thank you. How can people reach you, Mark?
resultsbi.com or Marc, M-A-R-C, Daniels at resultsbi.com. Either go to the website or shoot me an email.
Thank you so much for being a guest,
And
Mark.
Marc's with a C, M-A-R-C Daniels at resultsbi.com. And thank you, Chala. This was great.
Take care.